It's time for another 308 video. Without fail, I always deliver, guys. Let's get started. Look, Mrs. Wizard, do you like the 308? I had it repainted.
That is not my car.
Are you sure?
Quite positive.
That's correct. It is not your car. It's actually that one over there is my car.
Uh-huh.
So no, guys, this is not the 78 308 GTB that is sitting over there. This is an 82 308 GTSi. The I referencing the fact that it is Bosch fuel injected, and we'll take a look at that here in a little bit. But this thing is beautiful. It's a very nice maroon color. And I understand from the owner that this is not the original color. It was originally lime green with gold wheels. And for whatever reason in the past it's been painted this color. But it actually shows very well and it looks very nice. We're going to take a look at it. We're also going to go over why it's here. So without further ado, let's check this thing out. One big difference you can see right now, and it has a US spec bumper on it. It looks like a big lip sticking out. On my 308, it's just a big open grille down there, which also has been customized. But this is the way they came in the early 80s, with a big bumper on the front. It doesn't look bad, it's just different. Also on mine, these grills are black. I think they're supposed to be black. For whatever reason, these were painted body color. But it doesn't look bad, it looks fine. We do retain our black stripe in the middle here, all the way down. Those are nice wheels. Those are the 220 55 VR 390s. Kind of an odd size they had then. This is a big difference from the 308 that we have sitting over there. Ours has a very small opening right here to get to the gas cap, and this is a window, which it is still a window in this one, but you can unlock this and open this entire little quarter panel or sail panel or whatever you call that. This is a difference as well. The roof is solid on mine, being a GTB. This is a GTS, which means this targa top can be removed, just like in Magnum PI. His is a GTS. We come back here and it is a lot of similarities. The bumper is not a similarity, but the taillights, a lot of the insignias, the rear hatch, pretty much identical. There's a nice little mesh there, or a metal mesh. One thing we're not seeing is rust and scratches and damage. This one is in very good shape. Again, here is another locking mechanism so that this can come open. Here is the scoop that is currently not functioning on mine. Yes, Mrs. Wizard, my car.
Keep saying it.
But we will be making it function once we get the OEM air cleaner. And we ride back to the front. It looks very nice. Let's go ahead and open the front trunk. So on the 78 308 that me and Mrs. Wizard have, the front area is in disarray because it's being worked on. But let's see what one looks like that's together and in good shape. There we go. The spare tire is not in here, but otherwise it is in very good condition. Even the CAD plating on all the metal pieces is still intact. There's some heater valves. There's our sideways brake master cylinder and booster assembly. There's our air conditioning components. There's a heater core here. And there's also a heater core over there. There are two heater cores in these cars. Here's a nice coolant overflow reservoir. And we have the same radiator, condenser, fan setup that mine has. So everything looks to be present except for the spare tire, and everything is in really good shape. I'm really liking this car. It's nice. Let's head on to the engine bay. We do have some boxes and things in here. The customer brought some parts along with the car that they would like us to install. But we can see right away some big differences in this engine and the carbureted version that is in our 308. We have an intake plenum up top here with a different intake that has fuel injectors in it. You can see the lines here going to the injectors, metal lines. And they all go over to this fuel distributor head. And if you're familiar with Bosch Jetronic, that is exactly what that is. That is the air metering unit, the distributor head, all for the fuel injection system. This is also the air filter, which is completely different than the one on our car. And you can see the AC compressor way over there with the bracket that you've seen in the last 308 video we did. That is what it looks like with the compressor installed and intact. We have 2 ignition coils here that we did not have on my car when it was stock. And we have 2 distributor caps, one here and one over there. That has all been deleted on our car. That just has plates here and there, and it has coils right here mounted there. Here is a pressure tank for the cooling system. So basically the same engine for the most part, but there is a lot of differences in the fuel delivery system and the air induction. Also in the ignition system, lots of differences. But it is very clean. And it is stock. Everything looks to be where it should be. It looks very good under this trunk hood, whatever you want to call it, lid. So we'll head on into the interior and let Mrs. Wizard give you guys a tour of that.
Okay, ladies and gents, I really like seeing this car because it kind of gives me an impression of what does a real sorted out version, but what is it for the most part, what could it look like? So here's our gauge cluster, and a lot is packed in there, but you'll do see on that left hand side that it says 30,050 miles. That's it. There's a space for that to roll over to 100,000. This baby hasn't done it yet. Love that we've got, you know, simple gauges there right in front, easy to see. Okay, as we look at our dash, you can see that it is a nice black leather, and you know, I'm glad that Wizard chose to do black with ours because I think it does look nice in this setup as well. As we move down, you'll see that they have a nice stereo. It's an Alpine that they have added to the car. And below those cute little vents is a murder log, or at least that's what the Car Wizard's t-shirt says one is. Okay, no, really, it's a lovely alligator, but he's cute riding down there. As we move back, we have a nice gated shifter. Again, a few more gauges down there, temperature and clock, and look at that, second hand is spinning around that dial, is working. As we move down though further, we'll see that we have lots of little controls just like our 308 does. Easy to reach as you're driving. As you look at our seats, they're a nice black leather, and they've got some nice bolster on the sides as well. So they definitely are comfortable. They're different than the ones we have, but we never did have the original seats that ours came with. We had to find others and have them redone with our upholstery guy. Door card is looking good. Looks like he's got a couple of hats over there in the pocket, but looks good. Combination of carpet and leather as well. Everything in here is black. No two-tone like our 308. Has nice Ferrari floor mats customized down there for the car. And as we move back, there's nothing there. There's nothing back there at all. A little bit of space back there. It looks like the seats could move a touch, and it's a good thing I'm really tall because I will need every inch back there to make sure I can drive this car. Well, at least my car when he finishes it. So look at the headliner. They have a very similar kind of a pattern. Ours is a brown, but this one does turn out and look very nice in this gray. No sagging, everything is great. You can see that there are straps there to take off the Targa top. What denotes that this is a GTS rather than the GTB model. As we look real quick at the seal plate, you'll see that they've added a lovely carbon fiber Ferrari marking in there as well to keep that seal nice and protected, because it is a little difficult to step down into this car. So one thing that is interesting that before we wrap up at our steering wheel is you can see that on the left-hand side it says slow down cylinder 1 through 4, and on this side is the other bank of the engine, which is the slow down cylinders 5 through 8. This is a computer-controlled engine, not carbureted controlled. As we move back, you'll see here's that steering wheel. Again, being that this is 82, there's no airbag in here, so we got to be careful when driving this. And those pillars are awfully skinny as well, no airbags in there. So this is one of those cars you drive with a lot of care and caution. Otherwise, I'm really curious what this looks like on the underneath. Let's get this in the air.
So one thing the customer included when bringing this car was a list of work to be done. So I'll go over that list real quick to give us all an idea of why is this car here. Number one is air conditioner replace, and that may be an upgrade, or maybe an upgraded compressor or something like that. There's lots of parts and boxes that also we have set aside. Timing belt service, 30,000 mile service, possible distributor delete, pulley for the air pump delete. There's several small modifications they'd like to do to this car. They'd like to update the ignition by installing solid state ignition. The steering play is excessive, the turn signals don't work, and recover the steering wheel with new leather, which will have Low-End Upholstery do for us here in Newton. There's clunks under the dash, which may be related to suspension. Speedometer replaced because it reads 10 miles per hour over, only reads to 85. That may be some issues going on somewhere else. We'll take a look into that and see what's going on. Lights in the dash, replace them with LEDs. Update the fuse box, which is what we've done and also in R308. It's called the Birdman fuse box. It takes away all those Euro style fuses that give so much trouble and replaces them with glass fuses, which are much more reliable. The window motors, there's new ones in the boxes. These ones are not working. Clean the window channeling, replace the speakers, which they've also included. Have the leather on the door cards recovered or renewed by Low-End Upholstery. Refurbish the seats, Low-End Upholstery. Squeaky suspension. Check the back sway bar. An oil change. Engine idle mixture adjustment. Doesn't idle when cold, idles high when hot. We can take a look at that for sure. And check everything from front to back. Replace and repair anything as needed. So basically it sounds like we're getting caught up on some services that are due on this vehicle, and we're also going to be updating or upgrading some of the components in the engine bay. Definitely something that's doable here. One thing I'm glad that he's not asking us to do is a full restoration. We do not do that here. So without further ado, let's get this thing on the lift, and you will notice when I start the engine you will hear one of the V-belts, not the timing belt, but it's a V-belt that's kind of making a little squeal noise. That will also be addressed. But let's go ahead and get this thing on the lift and take a look underneath. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing I noticed, there's not much going on here. This is the trunk. It's just a panel there. Take a look at the front brakes. Everything's looking good, no leaks. The struts are aftermarket and they are in good shape. Nothing loose there. Brakes look good here. Strut looks good. Nothing loose there. He's mentioning some issues with steering. We'll have to dive into maybe the steering rack on that one. Here's a little bit of undercoating. It looks like a leak or something, but it's not. Pretty aerodynamic here. Everything looks smooth. One big panel, the floorboard here. And we arrive to the frame structure, which actually holds the engine. Everything's very nice and dry, except for like this oil pan. I can see that it's seeping around the edges. It may need a new oil pan gasket there. Looks like there's a little bit of oil dripping up above. We'll have to see if the valve cover gaskets are leaking. Move over to here. Here's our driver's side fuel tank. Everything's nice and dry there. A little bit of seepage on the transmission here. Nothing very serious. We'll clean it off and see where it's coming from. CV boots look good. Brakes look good. Nothing loose there. Brakes are good. CV boots are good. Sway bar links are good. Struts are good. Everything's looking pretty good so far. We'll have to take a look. This exhaust awfully close to the CV shaft there, but once it's the weight of the vehicle's on it, it's probably fine. Here's a nice little heat shield on our exhaust. Looks like a little bit aftermarket exhaust, the muffler in there. And these tires appear to be pretty old. They're from 05, getting close to 20. So we'll look into some tires, see what the customer thinks about that. Anyways, let's get this thing back on the ground. So we've got a lot of diving to do into this 308 to diagnose some of the issues that were mentioned on that sheet, but we see right off the bat that it's been very well cared for. There's some minor leaks, some minor little issues going on here or there, but nothing major. Like I mentioned, needs to be updated on services, some upgrades or updates also added to that list. But this is a really beautiful 308. I can't wait to get ours done, Mrs. Wizard.
I know, I'm just counting the minutes. Unfortunately, it's days, weeks, months.
Yep, it adds up pretty fast. I wouldn't mind working on more of these. I really enjoy working on the 308s. They are simple. There's not a whole lot of gizmos or doodads or anything going on with the suspension. It's really a driver's car. It's a very, very nice example as well. So if you're curious what kind of tools we're going to use to work on this really nice 308 GTSi, check my Amazon affiliates link in the description below. We get a small cut and we really appreciate it. And make sure to hit the subscribe button because there's so many more cool videos to come. Thanks for watching.